Shane Wright. After being granted exceptional status at the age of 15, Shane Wright played 2 seasons in the OHL, and including in his draft year, he scored 32 goals and 94 points in 63 games. For months, Shane Wright was projected to be the first overall pick in this year's 2022 NHL Entry Draft, but Montreal had other ideas.
With our first pick in the 2022 NHL Draft, les Canadiens de Montréal sont fiers de repêcher from the Slovakian national team and TPS Turku, Juraj Slafkovsky.
Montreal selects Juraj Slafkovsky with the first overall pick in the 2022 NHL Entry Draft. Slafkovsky is a big Slovakian winger standing at 6'4". This year in the Liga as a 17-year-old, he had 10 points in 31 games, and in the World Cup of Hockey, he had 9 points in 8 games with 3 goals. But did Montreal make a mistake by taking Juraj Slafkovsky over Shane Wright? Well, in today's video, we're going to take it to NHL 22, and we're going to do a full career simulation of Juraj Slafkovsky on the Montreal Canadiens. But before we get started, if you're excited for this simulation, leave a like down below, and also leave a comment. Let me know, would you rather have Shane Wright or Juraj Slafkovsky on your team? Let's get into it. We are back in NHL 22, and like always in these simulations, we are using the best team on the planet, the Seattle Kraken, as innocent bystanders for the simulation. So let's go check out Slafkovsky. So here is Juraj Slafkovsky. He is starting the season with the Laval Rockets in the AHL.
Are you sure about that?
Sitting at 79 overall, also high elite. Here's all his stats and X factors if you want to pause the video and check it out. So let's start the first year simulation of Juraj Slafkovsky. Now, after the month of November, I checked in, and Juraj Slafkovsky actually made the NHL off the rip. He's already got 13 points in 24 games, but a -7. And he's playing on the top line alongside Nick Suzuki and Brendan Gallagher. Well, we're past the trade deadline in year number 1, and I just had to stop and point out this blockbuster. New Jersey Devils acquire Claude Giroux, and in return, they trade away the 2nd overall pick, Simone Nemec, and Nico Dawes to Florida. Montreal was also active during that trade deadline. They trade Juraj Slafkovsky's linemate Brendan Gallagher to the Predators, which means Slafkovsky is now playing on a line with Suzuki and Caulfield. Slafkovsky's also grown to an 80. Montreal did not make the playoffs in year number 1, finishing 26th in the league with a record of 33, 36, and 13. Slafkovsky, however, had a pretty good rookie season with 50 points in 82 games, 21 goals, but a -17. But it was not enough for him to win the Calder Memorial Trophy, as Lucas Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings takes that one home. To start out year number 2, Slafkovsky is on a line again with Suzuki and Caulfield. He's now grown to an 83 overall. At the trade deadline of year number 2, Montreal is cleaning house by trading Joel Edmondson and Jonathan Drouin to the Ottawa Senators, but they're not done there as they trade Josh Anderson to the Buffalo Sabres. Slafkovsky remains on that first line with Suzuki and Caulfield, and he's now up to an 84. Montreal misses out on the playoffs again in year number 2, 86 points on this season, 37, 33, and 12 is their record. Slafkovsky has slightly a better season this year with 51 points in 82 games, 24 goals, and only a -12. This is the last year for Slafkovsky's entry-level deal. He's up to an 86 overall now, playing alongside Suzuki and Caulfield. Montreal makes some splashes in free agency. They bring back Max Pacioretty, and they also bring in Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, boy.
At the trade deadline in year number 3, Montreal makes 2 moves, acquiring Ryan Graves from the New York Islanders, and also getting Tyler Myers from the Canucks and giving up Caden Gooley in return. Slafkovsky still remains on the top line with Suzuki and Caulfield after the trade deadline. He's now up to an 87 overall. And Montreal squeaks into the playoffs in year number 3, 15th in the league with 93 points, a record of 42, 31, and 9. Slafkovsky finishes the season with 57 points in 82 games and 19 goals and a +13. And in the playoffs, Montreal gets all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but they lose to the Los Angeles Kings in 5 games. In the playoffs, Juraj Slafkovsky has 18 points in 21 games, including 8 goals. He's now up to an 88 overall, but he is a restricted free agent, so let's see what his new contract is. Slafkovsky in the offseason signs a fantastic deal with the Canadiens, making $8.86 million for 6 years.
Hey, that's pretty good.
To start year number 4, Slafkovsky remains on that first line with Suzuki, and they move Doc up to the first line and move Caulfield down to play with Brad Lambert and Sam Reinhart. At the trade deadline in year number 4, Montreal only makes one trade, and it's a small one. They trade Trevor Moore and a 3rd round pick to the Penguins, and they get back Marcus Pettersson, a 3rd and a 6th. And for the second straight season, the Montreal Canadiens make the playoffs, finishing 12th in the league with 96 points. Their record was 44-30-8. Slafkovsky has a breakout season for the Canadiens, finishing with 70 points in 82 games and 38 goals. And in the playoffs, the New Jersey Devils win the Stanley Cup against the Anaheim Ducks in 7 games. The Montreal Canadiens beat the Boston Bruins in the first round in 7 games, but then they fall short in 7 games to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round. As for Slafkovsky in the playoffs, he finished with 11 points in 14 games, but had 0 goals, which is kind of a surprise. Year number 5, Juraj Slafkovsky remains on the Montreal Canadiens and on that top line with Suzuki and Caulfield. Slafkovsky is now up to an 89 overall. At the trade deadline now for year number 5, and Montreal made no moves this year. Boring! Which of course means Slafkovsky remains on that number 1 left winger line with Suzuki and Caulfield. And for the third straight year, the Montreal Canadiens make the playoffs, finishing 9th in the NHL with 94 points. They had a record of 42-30-10. Slafkovsky didn't have quite the season he had last year, but still a good one, with 66 points in 82 games and 29 goals. And in the playoffs, the New Jersey Devils are your back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, beating the Arizona Coyotes in 6 games. Montreal beats the Ottawa Senators in 7 games in the first round, but they fall short to the Boston Bruins in 5 games in the second round. In the playoffs, Slafkovsky led the Montreal Canadiens with 12 points in 12 games and had 5 goals. Let's take a look at Juraj Slafkovsky's career stats after 5 years in the NHL. And after 5 years in the NHL, Juraj Slafkovsky's played 410 games. He has 131 goals, 163 assists, which is good for 294 points, plus 24, 235 penalty minutes. So now that we're done 5 years of the simulation, we're going to jump ahead to year number 10, or unless anything crazy happens. So here we are, year number 10, and as you can see, the Montreal Canadiens lineup is a little bit different.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
But they still have 91 overall Juraj Slafkovsky, first line left winger. The 27-year-old just accepted a new offer with the Montreal Canadiens. He's now making 11.085 for the next 7 years.
Jesus Christ.
Now going into year 10, it is a different lineup for the Canadiens. Slafkovsky, Doc, and Brad Lambert are all playing together. Cole Caulfield no longer on the team. The Montreal Canadiens did not have the cap space to extend him, so he's now on the Calgary Flames. So let's go through year number 10, and after that, we'll go to recap and see what Slafkovsky's career points look like. Year number 10 is all done. The Montreal Canadiens and Juraj Slafkovsky did not make the playoffs this year, but that's okay. Juraj Slafkovsky got his bag.
Hello, I like money.
So after 10 seasons in the NHL for Slafkovsky, in 820 games, he's produced 269 goals, 376 assists for 645 points, and he's a career plus 66. His season high in goals still remains at 38, which he accomplished in year number 4. And his season high in points is 81 points in 82 games, and that happened in season number 8. No awards yet for the big 6'4" winger, and he's only made it to the Stanley Cup final once. So let's see in the last half of his career if he can start filling up that award cabinet. We're at the end of year number 15 of Juraj Slafkovsky. As you can see there, he is 33 years old so far, 90 overall, still in the NHL, but I did want to point out something. 15 years on the Montreal Canadiens, Slafkovsky's only made the playoffs 5 times, and he hasn't made it to the playoffs in the last 6 years. But nevertheless, let's check in on Slafkovsky's stats after 15 seasons in the NHL. Well, after year number 15, Slafkovsky is coming off a career high in points with 95 in 82 games. He was 1 goal shy of his career high with 38 goals. He had 37 this year. All in all, in his career so far, in 1,230 games played, he has 414 goals, 620 assists for 1,034 points. He's a career plus 49. Slafkovsky still has a deal for 2 years left at $11 million, so let's simulate those 2 years and then see what happens after that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, year number 16 of Juraj Slafkovsky's career has come to a close. As you can see, his potential is now dropped to a top 6, and he's 89 overall, 34 years old, so he's starting the decline that every player comes across. However, last year, he finished with 94 points in 82 games and was a plus 20, which allowed the Montreal Canadiens to get to the playoffs. But as you can see right there, right up there, they lost in 7 games to the Washington Capitals in the first round. Slafkovsky, though, led the team in points and tied for first in goals in those 7 games with 10 points and 4 goals. Now here's the kicker. Slafkovsky is now a pending unrestricted free agent. So, does he stay with Montreal or does he go to a different team? Let's find out. Well, after free agency, As you can see, Juraj Slafkovsky signed a 3-year, $13 million contract with Montreal Canadiens. And for the first time in Juraj Slafkovsky's career, he's playing right wing on the first line with Lebedev.
Today, Junior!
And the Ottawa Senators' former second overall pick, Braden Boma, at 93 overall. This might be the only chance that Slafkovsky has left. Let's see if they can get it done. And Montreal, with one of their best seasons in Slafkovsky's career, makes the playoffs, and they actually finished first in the Eastern Conference, third in the NHL, 110 points with a record of 51, 23, and 8. Slafkovsky with another great year as he finishes with 96 points in 82 games and 32 goals, and 93 overall. Boma definitely helps out with 103 points to lead the team. Slafkovsky is now an 87 overall and top 9 potential going into these playoffs. Let's see if Montreal can get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, in 18 years of being on the Montreal Canadiens, Juraj Slafkovsky is a Stanley Cup champion. In the first round of the playoffs, the Montreal Canadiens beat the Boston Bruins in 6 games. They then go on to beat the Florida Panthers in 7 games in the semifinals, then sweep the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Eastern Conference Finals, and finally beat the Minnesota Wild in 6 games to capture Lord Stanley. Slafkovsky in the playoffs tied for the lead in points on the Canadiens with 31 in 23 games. He also had 10 goals and 2 game-winning goals, which was enough to net Slafkovsky his first ever Conn Smythe trophy as MVP of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But one Stanley Cup is not enough for Slafkovsky, as he's decided not to retire after this season, and he's going to play a 19th season in the NHL. So let's get through it. Going into year number 19, Slafkovsky decides to take a lesser role with the Montreal Canadiens, and for the first time in his career, he'll be playing on the second line alongside Renaud and Goldobin. And the Montreal Canadiens make no mistake with the end of Slafkovsky's career by making the playoffs yet again and finishing 5th in the NHL with 104 points and 50, 28, and 4 being their record. Slafkovsky is now sitting at an 84 overall with a bottom 6 potential at 37 years old. But that didn't stop him with getting 95 points in 82 games and 28 goals. Oh my god, no way. Ladies and gentlemen, Slafkovsky made the right decision because for the second year in a row, the Montreal Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Oh my gosh, it is a double rainbow. I cannot believe it.
In the first round against the Detroit Red Wings, they beat them in 6 games. They then beat the Florida Panthers in 7 games in the second round. In the conference finals, they were down 3-0 to the Rangers and reverse sweep the Rangers to take on the Flames in the Cup final, which they also beat in 7 games. On the second line, Slafkovsky still maintains over a point per game with 28 points in 27 games and 7 goals. His teammate Braden Boma takes home the Conn Smythe trophy. And believe it or not, folks, Slafkovsky still does not retire with 1 more year left on that $13 million deal, so we're going to see a 20th season. You cannot write a story this good. In the last year of Juraj Slafkovsky's $13 million deal, he joins the Detroit Red Wings in a trade. But the best part of it all, he joins draft pick number 4 of the same year, Shane Wright.
To get to a Stanley Cup, you need these type of players. And
the Detroit Red Wings make no mistake as they finish 8th in the NHL with 96 points. 45, 31, and 6 is their record as they go on to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Slafkovsky in year number 20 still puts up a point per game on the Red Wings with 82 points in 82 games and 28 goals. Unfortunately, the Detroit Red Wings did not have what it takes to go on a deep run in the playoffs as they lose in the first round to the Florida Panthers in 6 games. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of an era. Juraj Slafkovsky has officially announced his retirement from the NHL. Let's go over his career stats and awards. In 20 seasons in the NHL, Juraj Slafkovsky played 1,640 NHL games. He had 564 goals, 928 assists, 1,492 points. He was a plus-minus 149, and he had 1,006 career penalty minutes. In the playoffs, Juraj Slafkovsky played 143 games. He had 47 goals, 101 assists, which is good for 148 points. He was a plus-minus of 22, 93 penalty minutes, and he had 7 game-winning goals. Juraj Slafkovsky made the Stanley Cup final 3 times in his career, winning the Stanley Cup twice, the first time in the 38-39 season and the 39-40 season. He also won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP in the 38-39 season. And that is going to do it for the career simulation of Juraj Slafkovsky. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like down below, and also leave a comment letting me know, would you rather have Shane Wright or Juraj Slafkovsky on your team? If you guys enjoy NHL 22 content or hockey content in general, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below as we upload videos, and we also stream here on YouTube as well. We also have a brand new Discord server where everyone is welcome to join, where we all talk hockey and have a lot of fun. The link for that will be in the description down below. My name is Zoo. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Oh, what are the odds that Slafkovsky and Wright end up on the same frickin' team?